Right, so how can we further edit these chord progressions? Well, first of all, we can do something quite basic. We can open up our settings, and in the playback, we can choose the humanize function, turn it on, and we can start randomizing the velocity. I want to keep the timing as it is, so that's quite a simple thing we can do straight away. And now if I drag into there and I open it up, you'll see the velocities are randomly different. And remember when we dragged our MIDI file in last time, we did the edit to get it down to 4 bars ourselves. We halved this last chord here and then we just dragged that over. So we could do it like that, but one of the great things about Scala's upgrade to version 2 is this new edit feature here. So if I get rid of that again and open up this edit window here, we can see we have these different choices. Now first of all, I want to open up playback timings, because you'll see here duration ×1, and ×1 equals the normal 4 beats that we had it set to. So what we want to do, these last 2 chords, we want to halve the duration of those. So now when we close that window again, now if we drag our MIDI file, we should have a 4 bar. There you go, it's done it without us having to open up the MIDI file within Ableton. So it's also retained our velocities here. So let's replace our original MIDI clip and play again. Okay, so we've humanized the velocity and we have used the edit playback timings to automatically halve our last 2 chords rather than do it within Ableton. And let's go through some of these other edit progression features that we've got here. At the top, we've got chord voicings, and you can see here octaves. Now, you remember when we had our usual view, you can see you can change the octaves here. If you click edit, if we press on our first chord, and then we can raise the octave. Okay, so I think that's probably too low. Too low. I just want to choose ones for an example. They're all pretty perfect as they are, but I just want to choose one for the sake. Okay, let's go down on that last one maybe. Okay, so let's now drag our MIDI and let's replace it, and let's see if that last chord is too low. You can see it probably is going to be. Yep. Yeah, with the preset that we've got, that pad, it doesn't quite articulate those low notes very well. So what can you do about that? Well, you can then use the inversion feature. Okay, now a chord inversion, it usually takes the bottom note, the root note of your chord, and then it will remove it from the bottom and place it on the top or an octave higher. I think Scala intelligently works out whether it will sound better an octave up. So let's give you an example of that once again. You can see there the root note is on the E. Can you see that there? That's the bottom note. Now if we use the first inversion, that E is probably going to shift up an octave. There you go, it's moved, and the bottom note is now a G. Then our second inversion, let's see where that G now goes. That G has gone up another octave as well. So this was our original chord, and now, and it's interesting because obviously the bass isn't going to change, so the bass is going to still have that original E. If we click open the bass, you can see now how Scala is such a great learning tool, because you're learning about inversions. There we got our E on the bass note, and Then we're using G as part of our bass as well, which we got from using one of the Perform features. So you can see that I don't go for this, using these kind of plugins is cheating at all. They are great learning tools, even for people who know loads about music theory. This is complex enough to keep anyone entertained, no matter what your musical level. So inversions are great if you want to subtly change up the sound, because it doesn't change the notes in the chord, it just changes their order. So if we I'll just quickly randomly do this, and this is going to be especially useful on the last chord we've got here, because we've gone down an octave, so we can now lift up the notes again. Okay, so that's going to give it a different feel. Let's leave that one as it is. We leave the semitones alone. Now let's drag in that MIDI clip. Okay, so now I'm just going to play the regular version that we had, and then I'm going to play the version where we've got our chord inversions. You should be able to notice a nice subtle feel. See, it's a very subliminal change. To get rid of scalar here, you can maybe see how the notes have changed. Gonna flip over to this one. See how those have changed at the end there. That's probably too low. So what I would do is probably go in there and change it myself. But if we wanted to do it within Scalar, just open that up and let's try that this time. Let's drag that in. And of course you can play for hours and really fine tune your progressions. Nice. Yeah, that's much nicer. I really like that one actually. This one. Excellent. And you could even then have a look at what your root notes are and go in and change the bass line. Got something different going on in the bass than the root note of the actual chord, so it sounds even more complex at the moment. You could perhaps simplify it a bit by changing some of the notes if you've inverted the chords to the new root notes. Okay, semitones. One of the cheesy things you can do in a song as it progresses is have a transposition up a semitone. So instead of this chord, you get that. And if you have a look on our chord indicator here, the blue line has disappeared, and that means we are now out of our original scale. So let's go up on all these, and now you'll kind of get one of those ballad type effects where they go up a whole semitone, and it sounds a bit corny, to be honest, but I'll demonstrate it for you. Oh yeah, we're going to have to obviously mute the bass because the bass will be static. Yeah, it's a bit of an easy trick to do. Plenty of songs do it. You'd have to change the bass line to also go up a semitone, of course, because that will clash horrendously. Okay, so let's put these back to how they were. You can see how you can use chord voicings to further edit your chord progression. The playback timings we've already demonstrated by halving those last two chords. And here we have our playback performances. Now, as I demonstrated when we created our bass, these are great for kind of getting basic ideas and then going in and editing and putting your own stamp upon the various rhythmic variations. But when it comes to the actual chords, I prefer to leave my chords as kind of block chords and then, edit them myself. Maybe I will get some inspiration from the performances. Maybe I will do similar to what I did with the bass line, but I'm just going to use them as they are, simple block chords. And if I wanted to sort of change them around, I would do it within the clips in Ableton. The idea being that I don't want to rely on the performances that Scalar have given, unless there is something, if I'm maybe working for a trailer or something and it's just absolutely perfect for what I require. But in my own compositions, my own tracks, I would just steer clear, to be honest. As I said, just maybe use them for inspiration, but otherwise I would steer clear. If you don't care about rules, by all means, go ahead, use them. There's nothing stopping you, and I'm sure there's some amazing features in there. So that's that. Right, more editing features. Now we can find some of these additional edit pattern and edit chord features by selecting one of our chords in our progression and right clicking. And the first option you get is edit chord. And we're going to click on that. And one of the things that I've done just quickly off camera, if I just go back very quickly and show you, I've saved our progression as a pattern and they now appear. The original chords now appear along here, and that's mainly a safety feature because unless I've missed something, and I've read the manual and I've looked online and I've seen a couple of other people mention it as well, so unless it's incredibly hard to find, the only undo and redo buttons I can find are within this edit window here. So maybe I've missed something, but if I haven't, and the undos are only available within the edit window, I hope that that can be addressed in another update to have an undo feature for when you're changing your chords within this mode and you don't like what you've done after you've applied it. Maybe there's a easier way to undo it, I don't know. But the way I've done it is I've just saved it, and I can now, if I completely mess up this progression, I can drag in these original chords. Okay, so right click again, edit chord, and what this now does is if I play the chord, you'll see the notes highlighted, and if I click on that note there, I can get rid of it, and it's now changed to a G6 with a suspended second. And it's just thinned out that chord a little bit. If it was maybe sounding a bit too thick before, it's now thinned it out nicely. So I like that, and I'm going to apply it. And you'll see now our progression has changed. Let's just play it. Okay, so what's nice about that is I can now drag that, and I can have that as a kind of alternative. I can have that as the opening kind of progression, and then the thicker opening note will be a variation. Okay, so I'm pleased with that, and you can do that obviously for all of your chords. So we right click again, and the next option to edit are chord substitutions. Now there's no getting away from it. This is music theory stuff. I'm not even going to attempt to give a good explanation of what chord substitutions are right now. This tutorial is for a very basic level when it comes to music theory. All I can say is just look at the Roman numerals there in your chords, and that tells you basically where you are in the scale that you've chosen. We are in the B minor scale, so the G is the sixth note built upon that scale, and whether it's in capitals or whether it's in small caps, it makes a difference as well. So you're just going to have to get to learn that. And what substitutions do, they give you alternatives to your choices. So let's choose a different chord in the progression. We'll leave that one alone for now. So we go from the 6. Let's change this one. So the common tones is given us a change in the Roman numeral from a 1 to what's called a mediant, which is the 3 in the progression, or a sub-medium, which is the 6 in the progression. Okay, I told you it is quite complicated. I don't want to intimidate anyone with music theory, and I don't want to try and bluff my way through it, because I don't know what I'm talking about either. All I want to do is show you that you can just experiment with these and see if you prefer them to the choices that you've originally got, or whether you don't. Simple as that, really. So let's change this chord to the first choice that they give us, D major 7, and that is with a 4th, I believe. So now we've got this progression. Right. Hear that? There you've got the B on the bottom. There you've got the D on the bottom. So again, it's given a very subtle kind of variation, and once again we can drag it, and you can see now, just by editing these chords within your progression, you can come up with a really sophisticated song development by choosing these different clips. Okay, very, very subtle variations. Some of them are just missing out notes, they're thinning out at certain parts. Some presets might show that up more so than others. We've got quite a thick sounding pad there. Right, so let's move on to the next edit feature, and this is modal interchange.